Rodriguez.
How you doing, Ms. Summer? My name's Hector Rodriguez. Members of the board, how you doing this evening? So forgive me in advance for not being in the proper attire, as well as my little note card here full of notes. But I didn't realize this was going on, and as a concerned parent, I rushed through the internet to try and find something where I could get my voice heard. Right now, my grievance is with Marley Elementary School and the Code of Conduct. My child, who is 10 years old, has had 8 violations that I could find in the Code of Conduct against him. I've been told by the principal that there is a contract of conduct that he and the other student can sign, but they are to remain in the same classroom. To me, this is not acceptable. Just to go down the list of just a few of these 8 incidents, we're talking about bullying, cyberbullying, sexual harassment, inappropriate use of social media, and then not to mention the fact that he was told that this child hopes that my child can die. That was lastly, and I can't find that in the Code of Conduct. I got to be honest. So, as a military service member, I bought a house in Glen Burnie, and I didn't realize that I was going to encounter these types of things at this school. So I'm kind of just stuck at this moment. I asked if my son could get a transfer to an even closer school that we're just not zoned for, and I was told the superintendent would get back to me. Haven't heard anything back. I'm not sending my child to that school until I get a response that is appropriate. So I'm just looking for your guys' guidance as board members, and hopefully I can come to some type of just trying to figure this out for my kid.
Mr. Rodriguez, would you do me a favor and take a minute to meet with Dr. Lucarelli, our Associate Superintendent for School Performance, so she could talk directly about your concerns?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Ms. Schalheim.
Dr. Arlotto, what is the general policy when things like this happen between children in class and it's an ongoing problem? Do we commonly then separate those 2 individuals to protect the safety of both children?
That's a really wide-ranging question, because it's all very dependent on the situation and the children and their histories and their needs. And so every situation is different, but we absolutely have processes and procedures and protocols that we follow for the safety of each of those children. If it is determined that it is bullying, or maybe it's just a one-time event where the students had a negative encounter, but it wasn't bullying per se, but it was a negative encounter, those would and should have consequences, and then we try and bring some resolution to it. How can we resolve this for the students? Our first focus is to keep all students in school, right? It's not to remove them from school and exclude them from school. Our first focus is how to keep them in school, all students. And sometimes we want to try and bring the students and so they can work out their differences. And that's the reason we've really gone to restorative practices and restorative justice, where a student can make an apology if they've offended a person or offended others in a classroom or in a school. Each one of those doesn't work in every single case. I'm giving you sort of a range of some of the tools that we use to get students to encounter each other well.
Thank you for that. I don't think it would be appropriate to discuss the follow-up to this particular case in open session, but I would like to request that we remain apprised of this particular situation so we can determine resolution.
Okay, I can't guarantee that. Because I just don't know anything about the case.
No, I know, but...
And so if there are things that come forward where then there are appeals made and it's got to come to the board, I can't give you information in front of that could keep you from then having to recuse yourself from making a decision. Typically, I would say, sure, I'd love to update you. I just don't know anything about this case in particular. I've not been contacted about this case in particular, but I'm getting ready to find out more.
Oh, yeah, he said he is following on what he was saying.
I've not been contacted about this case, and now I've got somebody that's going to follow up.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Antoine.
So Mr. Rodriguez made a final statement that he is not sending his child back to school, which puts him in an immediate position of truancy. Does this is for Dr. Arlotto, when parents have made that type of decision for what they perceive as the safety of their students, Are they allowed to do makeup work and get more support so that they won't be in a situation of truancy?
I can't change the truancy part, but we can work with the parent to try and bring the student back into school, or create, if there's some sort of medical documentation, where we can get home and hospital services, so we can continue to work, but I can't change the truancy. The student's either in school or not in school. It's kind of state law. But we want to work, every case is different. We want to work with the parent to find a way to get, we'd send a PPW out, social worker, counselor. Can we sit down and talk? Can we bring the parent in? Can we get the student to re-engage back in school? We want, again, as I said earlier, we want the students in school. That's what we want. That's where they're going to be most successful.